Attention gamers. Uncle Rito is making some big changes to League of Legends, with almost every change in the patch notes using their favorite word, durability, again. I guess someone at the company woke up and said, hey, one-shots are cool, but you know what else would be cool? Our entire ADC player base not having to be on lethal doses of Prozac. So you know what Riot did for us? Nothing, but what they did do is take two ADCs that left home at a young age and now identify as solo laners, and they started throwing tank buffs their way. In the name of durability, they are buffing their HP and armor and blood pressure medicine to keep them alive and stronger. They said the change was to take them away from assassin category and to bring them back to their skirmisher roots, which to me and obviously anyone else with eyeballs means they are now full-blown tanks, and I owe it to the world to clickbait a video where I rock tank runes, build tanky mythics, and then laugh in the face of any little fizz who thinks his baby shark is gonna do damage to me. So please slap the shit out of my subscribe button and let's get into it. So the first game is your typical silver shenanigans. You know, we all group up at the start, see if we can join hands, sing Kumbaya, make fun of the fat kid until Robocop notices a giant spider and we all start freaking out trying to kill it. Everyone is scared, I'm pissing myself, and the whole thing ends in someone literally dying in the chaos. Anyways, Cosmic Squidward won't shut up about what happens when he turns 6, and I'm like, cool bro, but we're like 3s, let's just live in the moment, which I guess pisses him off, so he calls his spider mommy, which had my asshole puckering like I had just butt chugged a baker's dozen Sour Patch Kids, but she forgets the part where her spider form can execute me and decides to go back to just being an average looking Halloween costume again, so I ask her to leave me her red buff in the will before she passes. Polly Wally Octopus is still floating around, but Vi clearly still has some pent-up little stepsister issues to work through, and so he's gonna be the victim of that. That said, when it comes to the lane, I have more priority than a pregnant veteran boarding an airplane, which means the next time Vi finds an itsy bitsy spider, I can be there in a jiffy to make it go up the water spout before down comes the rain and a fat sack of cash for your boy. But with how much this cocky calamari is buzzing off about his sweet 6th birthday party and how flashy it's gonna be, I want to bully the shit out of him before then, as I'm thinking, hey bud, maybe murder my midgets instead of throwing balls at me, but hey, to each his own. I get him low, to which I'm fin to Indiana Jones this bitch, but that fails, so I load up 6 jizz shots into the chamber, only for Sally the tier 1 statue to be a bigger cockblock than the concept of college roommates. Anyways, I am a big advocate of the compound effect in my life, which means when I fail once or twice, I like to really double down until my behavior starts looking borderline embarrassing, but the educated ones out there know that this is just a disarming mechanism to make enemies feel comfortable enough around you to do something that is stupid as shit while you profit. #outsmarted from day one, Squidward. I'm headed bot looking for a couple of guys who are up to no good when I notice there's some trouble in Dragon's neighborhood, so I throw one little boomerang and Cass gets scared, but I kill his dumbass and shoot an ult to get a double declared. But if someone on border patrol were to ask me about my reasons for crossing the southern river border in the first place, I need to make sure I stick to my story, which in this case was to put a stop to the bloody counting that everyone has to endure with that psychopath muttering to himself all game. But that's hardly believable alone to be a reason to make the trip. After all, ADCs have no issues dying on their own, so I had to also mention that an old friend that I grew up with would be in town down here, and I really wanted to show him these new items that I've acquired since the last time we spoke, but he didn't care too much, so I murdered his girl. Then I guess I made traveling look so cool it's now a goddamn trend, as Counting Dracula is taking vacation selfies up mid. But anyways, I wanted to remind any arachnophobes out there that they are always more scared of you than you are of them, so you have nothing to worry about. But you know who isn't scared at all? Iron Man's diabetic cousin, as he yanks Tommy tiptoes so we could all spit in his face. This has everyone running away like we're tripping on bath salts, but in reality Vi just needs someone to punch, thinking about how her parents died and her lil sis is sucking some villain's dick in a city with bad air quality because of it. And I'm proud to say this year's graduating class at the Arachnophobics Academy was a great success when you consider by the end of it they were actively looking for spiders to squash, which is such a refreshing difference from day one when a daddy long leg maid set literally shit his pants. So all that was left for me to do was disprove the myth that those who can't do, teach, by killing this 8-legged whore myself. Anyways, we are violating their base like it forgot the safe word when that point in time comes where silver players earn the reputation of not knowing when to get the fuck out of dodge. As my first thought is fuck yeah boys, we got this. My second thought is I should have bought heal cut, and my third thought is wait, I have 3 goddamn thousand health on AKSHAN 18 minutes into the game and this forehead dildo decorated healer is running the wrong way. So naturally I waste a good 30 seconds that could have been spent getting objectives, denying jungle farm, pushing waves, MOBA things, in lieu of chasing a anime goat around the map so I could earn a few more nickels to my name. It just so happens that those commercials for the farmer's dog food where they are like no dog should eat processed shit and it has some sad ass puppy eyes, well yeah, those are catching on, and the enemy team started feeding their Warwick real food because of it, and now he is like a mutant murderer, so we opt into killing his side chick first because nobody needs those constant queefs, but then it's just a matter of kiting like it's the windiest day of the year until we can put him back on a processed pebble shit diet. One thing I forgot to mention is that we all got in trouble earlier because someone kept giving Boris the shopkeeper wet willies and like doing little weird shit like pissing in his Gatorade, and the whole situation is really fucked up and no one could figure out who did it until randomly my Twitch goes, "It's me!" And we're all like, fuck, someone killed this monster, so luckily that problem was taken care of, but unfortunately the grass-fed fucking dog was still an issue, so I just avoided him like I do all my other problems and hoped someone else would fix them. Which, long story short, worked and ended the game before I could get too far into my tanky spanky Bollywood bruiser build, which was feeling fine as hell up until this point, so I figured it was time to test drive the new tanky Quinn for Game 2. Game 2 gets off to a weird start considering my lane opponent is literally wearing a bunny costume, which makes me think he's not taking this whole murder minions invade a base nuke nexus thing very seriously, so bottom line is I'm gonna push him in worse than a broken vending machine button, and then I'm gonna go look for his team's forest bitch. I find her harvesting the chicks with her man thong down and her one-shot little ant ass just begging to get fart darted and sent back to base. I have a fatality that my lawyers are preventing me from showing on screen as they say it's bad for my audience retention, and if I ever want to one day run for president I would be better off campaigning down south to rack up some brownie points by showing I can stick it to the police. Anyways, while I was bot I was telling my team Swain how their mid laner literally showed up to work today in Easter pajamas, which I knew would tick someone his age off, so he went up there to tell the little shitter war stories about how the twerps generation needs to learn some respect, only to get carrot caked and sent back to the nursing home, leaving me as the only responsible one left to say okay, time out in base to think about his actions. But it turns out that geriatric raven breeders generation is just a bunch of revenge-seeking erectile dysfunction dickheads, as not a minute later he comes rushing back to put the little pubeless sardine in his place. I'm then campaigning down bot again, growing my army of dick-riding followers while trying to get more, but I get ahead of myself when I think a fucking vegan is gonna vote for someone who enslaves large birds to chauffeur her around, so I deem it a lost cause and let my chief of slaughter slam dunk the moon on those naysayers. Then word on the street is there is some little Einstein Elon bastard child up top saying he's gonna run against me with turreted gun rights being at the center of his campaign, and I'm like, oh brother, cry me a river, so I head up there to quite literally kill the competition. Turns out the whole generation war is still raging mid where Fizz is calling Swain Madge and Swain is saying shit about at least he has a pension fund, and the whole thing is just petty, so I fly in to put an end to it. Now I start with a heavy magic resist build in this one because the enemy team had more mages than a leveling speed run contest in classic WoW. As you can see, the little stealth sex slave merely tickled me before thinking she would get away without dying. My jungler is off trying to tame a Godzilla crab when little Logan Paul comes in trying to spew some bullshit about his latest crypto zoo project, but I'm having none of that, so I try to take care of him without getting close enough to pick up any STDs he would have gotten from his fiancée. Okay, this video is about how Quinn is a tank now, so please see Exhibit A entitled Ligma, where both assassins fail to do more than a tadpole dick's worth of damage to me when I get caught red-handed looking to pick some boogers. Side note, just to score some relatability points on this video, my Jin wants to forfeit a game that is like a 110% chance of us winning all because he's doing bad himself and his little ego hurts. And to be honest, I don't really miss the one-shot Giga Dick Burst because her W still allows me to be stickier than Elmer himself's jizz, so no one is getting away from me once I start. Then I stick around because that hobbling pile of pasta is low, and if Swain can drop some shit on his head I know I can do this. We are now playing that game where we sit outside of their base and just keep demanding they let us hang out in there so that we could push them around, steal money from them, kill a few of the weak ones off, and eventually make them lose LP. But the thing is, I know that aside from that Piltover Mall cop they have, there's not a Grogus's chance of fitting through a barred tunnel they will be able to kill me, so I just kind of sprawl around their base like I'm the one paying property taxes for it, and we kill off every Tom, Dick and Heimerdinger in sight. Then thanks to this cool third-party program my parents installed for me before I was born called My Eyeballs, I'm able to see the vegan catching a cab back to base, so I zoom in there to promptly piss on her parade as she knows there's nothing she can do to kill my tanky ass. Despite getting shit on worse than a porta potty at a peanut convention, this fizz is still properly conditioned to run straight at an ADC to collect free cash, but he doesn't realize that I'm here too, so we make sure such behavior gets punished for a change. I've got my mythic the fucking Frosty the Snowman gloves because I like the sheen proc, but also because I'm now tanky enough to have 3 little A micro P mages blow their entire investment accounts of cooldowns on me just to get roped into a sloppy death while I peacefully slurp off some Gucci berry boogers in the river. Word on the street is that the hobbling bowl of pasta is gaining ground on me in the polls using some pathetic sympathy card about getting thrown off some white privilege council in Piltover, and it's working, so I murder him, and then when I'm planning my next stop they send some hooker to try and tempt me into doing something that could ruin my image. So I want everyone watching to know that I fucked her, left with more health than I started, and I'm damn proud of it. At this point I'm fed, ahead, and ready to give a talk about Tank Quinn on the TED. As you see, I'm melting some veggies, laughing at the damage from others, and just overall abusing the shit out of everyone else on the Rift in an epic campaigning effort to prove that these marksmen are now tanks, all because Riot has a fascination with the word durability. My name is Rav and I approve of this message.